All right, we're back with the Malzberg panel. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former congressman, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, and Democratic strategist Christy Setzer join us once again. And let's shift to the U.S. Supreme Court decision yesterday. Congressman, of course, the young lady who was denied entry to the school in Michigan because of racial quotas. This is a long time coming for her. And the 6-2 decision left no doubt that racial preferences, as far as university admission goes, there's no place for it.
Absolutely right. The first point you got right is when you said the university in Michigan, which is the University of Michigan. So thanks for that thumbs up to
apologies to all the Michigan
M.
State folks out there. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate that. The second point is that, yeah, this was a person who filed suit because she was denied entry into the University of Michigan. Less qualified students were admitted because of other factors, race being the factor. I think there's 2 points here. The Supreme Court decided that that was unfair, unconstitutional. The second thing is that we've heard so much about courts in the last number of years, ruling from the bench and imposing and creating law from the bench. And this time, I think, this time what they said is we're going to be deferential to the voters of Michigan who overwhelmingly passed a constitutional amendment that prohibited the kind of policy that was in place at the University of Michigan. So I think a good decision by the Supreme Court.
Christy, how do you weigh in?
I think it's a huge disappointment, and here's why. There have been a number of states that have enacted these bans on affirmative action, notably California in 1996. And what we see across the board in Michigan as well is that when you have a ban on affirmative action, it decreases diversity, full stop. So, in 1996.
What is diversity, by the way? What is diversity? You mean
well, in this
skin
case,
color
we're talking about racial
or
diversity.
bean counters, or do you mean diversity of opinion?
No, I'm talking in this case strictly about racial diversity. I mean, sure, we can also talk about economic diversity or lots of other kinds, right? But in this case, obviously...
I'm talking about ideological diversity, but go ahead.
Well, I don't think that's good enough. I actually don't. I think that, Americans do need to be surrounded not just by their own race, but we should... Anyway, and, what I'm saying is that in 96, when the California ban passed, you could go back 10 years later and see that the amount of diversity had dropped precipitously, so that the number of people...
Christy, how do you tell more qualified people, whether they're white, black, green, purple, yellow, whatever, Asian, polka dot, that sorry, you're more qualified, you're better qualified, but wait a minute, let me finish my question. Let me finish my question.
That's what I'm saying.
What do I mean, more qualified? Oh, gee, I must be old-fashioned. If you have better grades, if you have better test scores, if you have better admissions qualifications.
As any admissions officer will tell you, Steve, there are a huge number of factors that are taken into consideration when someone is...
Yeah, well, guess what? The 10
what
points for being black or Hispanic or some race or other race no longer stands. That's bogus.
The best French horn player in the state of Pennsylvania, I would probably get admitted to a lot of different universities based on that fact. That has nothing to do with my academics. What if I was a terrible academic?
You'd get a scholarship. You'd get a scholarship.
You might not.
If you were the best player, and it wouldn't be based on your rank. Wait. And it wouldn't be based on... Wait a minute. Let me make a point. And these scholarships are not given out on a quota system or on race. They're given to the best players. So that puts a hole right in your argument.
It doesn't. Well, here's another point that we can talk about, which was Sonia Sotomayor's argument. She said, if you are somebody who cares about university policies in any other respect except for race-sensitive admissions, she said, you have a lot of things that you can do. You can talk individually to board members. You can get other people who, think the same way that you do and go and lobby the board.
Christy, with all due respect, Christy, there's a 14th Amendment. We're way beyond this point. Affirmative action is dying, and it's going to be really dead soon. And I really appreciate your opinion. I really appreciate you coming on. And Congressman, appreciate your input as always as well. And we'll speak to both of you again real soon. Thank you.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks, Steve. Bye, Christy.
All right, take care. Congressman Pete Hoekstra and Christy Setzer, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And, very interesting. It was a 6-2 decision, not 5-4, 6-2. And don't forget, Sonia Sotomayor has made some very controversial remarks before she was a Supreme Court justice about, first of all, policy is made at the appeals court level. Policy is made by judges. That's how she viewed it. And also that a Latina woman might make a better justice than a white male. So you got to put everything in context. Okay, folks, we'll be back with more, much more of the Steve Malzberg Show. But first, we have today's America's Moment. It takes a look back to when President Ronald Reagan announced his Strategic Defense Initiative. Very apropos with what we have going on today, I think, and you won't want to miss it on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.
I call upon the scientific community in our country, those who gave us nuclear weapons, to turn their great talents now to the cause of mankind and world peace.
On March 23, 1983, President Reagan surprised not only the nation, but members of his own cabinet and military by announcing an Oval Office address that the United States would embark on creating an anti-missile system to stop and destroy nuclear-tipped missiles in space. Reagan called the program the Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI, while his critics quickly dubbed the program Star Wars. Still, the idea gained popular support and played a key role in undermining the Soviet Union and its arms buildup. By 1987, with his own nation facing economic collapse and unable to match the U.S. program, Soviet leader Mikhail